Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Spill the Tequila here on the John Rocha channel. I am John Rocha here on a Tuesday afternoon, 4 p.m. PT here. T-minus 2 hours until the State of the Nonsense Union that's going to go on tonight. What a waste of time that'll be. Apparently, he's talking 2 to 3 hours. Well, who the hell has time to listen to someone babble for 2 to 3 hours incoherently with run-on sentences saying absolutely nothing? I know that 50 Democratic representatives and senators are not showing up to the State of the Nonsense Union tonight that is going to go on. So, and there'll be some Epstein victims who will show up in their places and instead staring a hole right through that man who is, of course, being protected by all the nonsense going on here nefariously, both above our pay grades and above our stations in life. But you are here to hang out with me and Winston A. Marshall, who will be in here in just a second. He got a thing holding him up at work for just a couple of minutes, but he will be in here to hang out with us on the show today. We got so much to talk about today. We're going to get into the Delroy, Lindo, Michael B. Jordan BAFTAs controversy, what happened there with that inappropriate word being blurted out by someone who is suffering with Tourettes, who is being honored that night for their film. So we're going to talk about all of that and the reactions and the apologies, the non-apologies, who's to blame, what happened here. We're going to cover all of that and have our feelings and conversations and analysis about it. We're also going to get into the Spider-Man news here. Tom Rothman was on the Matt Bellany podcast and said essentially that they are going to reboot what they just finished crap in the bed doing, which is that Sony Spider-Man universe. So what the hell? They're apparently going to start all over again. Hopefully this time they'll get themselves a Spider-Man. We will see. We're also going to talk about a couple other stories. Of course, we're going to hit that Olympic gold medal situation. You guys know, if you follow me on social media, I've been tweeting about it since last night into this morning, the nonsense of it all and the embarrassment of it all. And sadly, two beautiful moments essentially ruined by people trying to take credit for other people's hard work and trying to use them to prop themselves up. Sadly, who did nothing. They did absolutely nothing to help them win gold medals, but still feel they can have an opinion on it. They can be there like a spastic little warthog, screaming and jumping up and down, shoving beer into their mouths. All of that here. We're going to cover that here on the show as well. And we're going to get into your questions, thoughts, and comments that you might have here as you join me here or join us here live on the John Rocha channel. Please send in your Streamlabs super chats as we go along here. The address is pinned in the chats and description of the video as well. I don't really have a solo thing here. I should make myself a solo or get my man to make myself a solo thing here for when Winston is a little late coming to the show, so you get all the information there. But yeah, we are going to answer all of that as we go along today, and can't say how much we appreciate you all hanging out with us right off the bat. Thank you to MK Sonberg. Calvin's up in here. Casey Grant's up in. Aaron, the creative. Mike Joyce rolling around with us as well. Liam Morrissey. Chris Corcoran, good to see you again, brother, every week as you hang out with us. Fantastic as well. And Valerie Yoder's up in here. WVU grad is in here as well. And so much to get into as we go along here throughout the show. But I just want to let you all know, like, where things are going today. How was your day? I hope you had a good Tuesday. I hope you are, not too discouraged about what's going on in the world. There's a lot of madness going on. We're going to cover some of it here on the show, but I hope you all are doing well, and we would love your support here as we go along during the show here. Oh, here we go. All right. Winston A is on tap here, ready to go. Winston A. Marshall, what's up, brother, man? How are you?
What's good, everybody? My apologies. Most of you know I have a customer-facing job that I do time to time throughout the week. And, this whole Supreme Court overturning the tariffs is both hilarious, but it also means that people are very in our face right now. So it just kind of throws stuff off from time to time. But I'm good. I'm happy to be here. We got a lot to talk about, man. So
thank
you for holding the fort for a couple minutes, and let us get her done.
Let's get it done. Let's get into it, Winston A. Let's talk about it right off the bat here. This is a big deal here. This happened at the BAFTA Awards there the other day. It was at Sunday night's BAFTA Awards. John Davidson, let me bring him up here. This is John Davidson here, the real life inspiration for the celebrated British film, I Swear, because he has Tourette's, a certain type of Tourette's, shouted the N-word at Michael B. Jordan, Delroy Lindo, while the Cine Stars were presenting their award there for Best Visual Effects. The outburst followed an opening monologue from host Alan Cumming, during which Davidson, who has Tourette's syndrome, was involuntarily ticking. The audience had been informed of Davidson's condition before the show began, but it was only after he said the racial slur that Cumming had openly addressed the issue, saying, "You may have noticed some strong language in the background. This can be part of how Tourette's syndrome shows up for some people as the film explores the experience." Now, the people who have an issue with this do not have an issue with John Davidson if they have any knowledge of what Tourette's is like, they have any knowledge of the condition that he has. It's more the issue that the BBC did not remove that N-word from the showing, the tape showing of the show, but they were able to remove one of the winners saying "Free Palestine" in their acceptance award speech, but not the N-word being blurted out in such a brutal way. And by the way, he ticked, according to John Davidson, which I'll read a little bit later, he ticked 10 times that night with some comments that were at times frustrating for people around him. And he's got some comments about how all that went down. So, but initially, Winston, what are your thoughts when you see all this stuff, when you hear the excuses, hear the non-apologies that have still not been issued? Your thoughts?
Talk about emotionally being all over the place with this entire situation.
Yeah.
The conclusion that I think everybody can agree with, period, is that the BBC and the BAFTAs can get fucked as far as them, how they decided to handle this.
Yeah.
From top to bottom. Again, this is a tape delayed show, so they had plenty of time to edit this out. Like you said, they edited out someone saying "Free Palestine" in an acceptance speech. They edited out some of his other shut the fuck ups and other things that were happening.
His homophobic shots at Alan Cumming. Yes.
Did he take homophobic shots at Alan Cumming?
He did. He also said something about, I think when Alan Cumming made the joke about Paddington, he said something to the effect of pedophile. He yelled out pedophile. So there were 10 other instances.
See, I didn't even hear about those. I'm very curious. I'm very curious then about how that was also handled. Not specifically by BAFTA and the BBC, but like with John. I'm curious what happened with those slurs. So maybe you have that info and I can ask you in a bit. But specifically, the one group, the one like people that you can genuinely be pissed off about is the BBC and BAFTA.
Yeah.
In the sense that, again, you edited plenty of stuff out.
Yep.
And decided not to edit that out.
Yes. Yes.
You had you had this whole situation where you kind of let it play out because you thought, oh well, we'll kind of almost use John as a shield, more or less, to get away from it. But as a number of Black British actors have kind of spoken out about the BAFTAs and everything else like that, if they were just dealing with the Black population in England and in the UK, it felt like it would have been, oh, there's rumblings, but it would have been whatever. Yeah. The fact is, this was then seen by, and more so because of Sinners and what it just historically pulled off as well at the BAFTAs, ironically enough. This was seen by Black America as a whole. So you kicked a fucking hornet's nest. And the reason they are backtracking now and trying to make up any sort of ground is because a whole new can of worms has been opened up. Now, did they really give a shit kind of when they were dealing? Because the BBC and England as a whole has this very sordid history with racism, and especially racism towards Black folk, because you look at what was going on with the whole Meghan Markle situation, and the number of them that came up with excuses for the royal family and everything else was kind of nuts. So I'm not surprised by this behavior from them, but it doesn't mean it's not infuriating. You know what I mean? And I think that's the whole thing. I understand also why people were upset with Black folk were upset with Alan Cummings' apology, because And I would also, the thing that I find actually interesting about it now in retrospect, and I don't think I processed this at the time until right now. One, not knowing that he had thrown slurs at Alan Cummings and other things that had been said. I just had heard about the few shut the fuck ups.
Yeah.
And then the stuff directed at Michael and Delroy.
Yes.
Knowing that changes my thoughts on this a little bit, but there was a thought of like, hey, Alan Cumming as a host, like, yes, I'm sure a producer is the one that gave you this copy to read as an apology or whatever. But it felt like one of those things for anyone that offended, it felt like kind of a throwaway thing. With the context of knowing there were that many other ticks that came out that were directed at other groups of people, slurs, individual stuff like that, that apology seems to make a little more sense to me now. Because then it seemed like it was just a few shut the fuck ups, and then the N-word was slung at two prominent black folk, and then it was like for whoever was offended. That feels like, I'm gonna apologize to Michael and Delroy for having to take that direct. But now that I hear that, change my stance on it a little bit. But
But
I think
go ahead. Sorry. No. Finish your point,
okay.
Sorry.
You're okay, because now I've kind of lost my train of thought. So I'm just
So I'm just going to add some context here, because he did an emergency interview that was dropped by Variety with Clayton Davis. Clayton Davis interviewed him at 2:46 p.m. PT, so just about an hour and a half ago. They published this interview with John Davidson because people were upset that he was issuing these statements. His team issued a statement last night and then this morning, but none of those statements included a direct apology to Michael B. Jordan or Delroy Lindo. No one's asking him to apologize for his condition, but you can't apologize for saying those things and having the reaction and causing the reaction to Delroy Lindo and Michael B. And to their credit, the two gentlemen, Michael B. and Delroy Lindo, rolled right through it. As I'm sure you know this as a black man, as many black people sadly have to do, is roll through other people's quote racism, or in this case, Tourette's-inspired racist taunt that was put out there. And this is not a disability. This is a condition. He wants to make it very clear to people it's not a disability. He has a condition, and it is one of the worst, from what I read here, one of the toughest ones, because you blurt out some of the most meanest, most inappropriate things. And in the interview, he talks about he has twice punched a person who was very close to him, a woman named Dottie, and once while she was driving in a high-speed situation, almost caused a head-on collision. So this is the involuntary nature of it, which is his Dottie, who is his second mother. It's an involuntary nature of the condition. So in no way are we saying this gentleman should be raked over the coals, but clearly social media turned on him, and people who don't understand the condition were saying, well, he must be racist somewhere to be able to say these kinds of things. And quite a few people with Tourette's are coming out saying this is this is a horrible condition to have, because these things come out. They don't reflect who you are as a person. And so it's a matter of understanding this kind of thing. But one thing he does point out, which I think is interesting, Winston, is he says the BBC put a microphone close to his chair. He was 40 rows away from the stage, 40. And they put a microphone near him, and he knew he had conversations with them about his condition and what he might say. So that leads me to believe, in my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, is that the producers of this awards show wanted him to say some stuff or say some inappropriate shit for the attention, for the reaction, for the social media firestorm. And that would piss me off on so many fucking levels if that was true, because it's irresponsible as fuck to put a microphone close to this man when he had told them that he might have this condition, the nerves might get to him, and they still did it. It's irresponsible producing.
Sheesh, man. That is then again, I think the one thing that we can all stand by, the BBC and the BAFTAs are two horrible organizations that need to answer for this shit, because this is 1,000% on them. The idea of not editing, put him near a microphone. The fact that you didn't knowing that you had someone with a disability and a disability that could cause chaos, you didn't prepare in any form or fashion. If anything, it sounds like you did the exact opposite. You set John up for failure.
Right.
That is disgusting.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my first thought was the idea that John didn't need to in any way really apologize to Michael and Delroy. And what pulled me, because that would feel like then you're having to apologize for your disability and everything else. But what brought me back around to think that it would still be appropriate for him to apologize to them. And if Alan Cumming too, it sounds like if he was throwing around homophobic slurs as well, it's not from the standpoint of he needs to apologize for his disability. I don't think that is correct at all. But there was a young lady with epilepsy that spoke on this, and she said, I was diagnosed with epilepsy a few years ago. I was still legally allowed to drive, but I ended up having a grandma seizure, and I ended up causing a bad accident, and I ended up wrecking somebody else's car. Nobody got hurt, thank God, but like the cars were totaled. And when she kind of came to, she said, I went to the person that was there on the scene whose car I hit, and I profusely apologized. Again, not for me having epilepsy. I don't think that's completely inappropriate. It was not intended, and I can't control that. Right. But I apologized because even though I was out of it, it was just something that happened because of something that I have. I was just apologizing for the harm that was caused. And it's not to say that diminishes anything, but just from that element. And so the idea of knowing the history of that word, knowing how the BAFTAs are, the BBC, knowing it's two of the most prominent Black actors that are out there in this moment and everything that's happening and everything that's kind of spiraled off of it, the idea of apologizing for the harm, but not for why it happened, I think is completely fair. Right. I think that to me, that hearing that story of the woman with the epilepsy thing actually had me change that stance and think, I think that would be an appropriate thing to do. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, this whole situation is rough. And I think what is completely inappropriate, I am not saying that people's feelings about how they heard this situation, that you can't be angry or upset about what went down. I think that is completely justified to feel how you feel. Yeah. What is pissing me off personally and is really disgusting is this has become an avenue for a lot of Black folk I've seen to become very ableist and to use this as a means to attack the disabled community, to make a mockery of Tourette's. And I am so saddened for people with Tourette's, but I'm especially saddened for Black folk with Tourette's, which I've seen a number of them speak out, because them talking about how it was already hard in that regard, just because of how the Black community in a lot of ways has dealt with disabilities and mental health disabilities and things like that, that this added this weird fuel to the fire of like, on top of that, then any Black person with Tourette's that's like kind of trying to explain what's going on. Oh, why you caping for this white man, blah, blah, blah. Like all of a sudden it kind of became that. And so I think a real discussion has to happen where people are able to express their pain and people are able to express why they're offended, but to not then take a situation where, let's say you were harmed and an ism was done to you, that you then turn around and perpetuate another ism to somebody else. Right. That I think is completely inappropriate. I think it's completely disgusting. And the fact that essentially because of the actions of the BBC and the BAFTAs, it has now turned the Black community and the disabled community at each other is fucking insane. Right. Which is so frustrating. Right. Because I think this is, and I want to bring up his interview because I want to read word for word for you all here who may not have seen this. This is his response. He was asked about this. What went into decisions to attend in person, and what conversations, if any, did you have with the BAFTA or the BBC in advance about how to support you and other guests? He said Studio Canal, which is who's distributing the film, were working closely with BAFTA, and BAFTA had made us all aware that any swearing would be edited out of the broadcast. I have made 4 documentaries with the BBC in the past and feel that they should have been aware of what to expect from Tourette's and worked harder to prevent anything that I said, which after all was some 40 rows back from the stage, from being included in the broadcast. As I reflect on the auditorium, I remember there was a microphone just in front of me. And with hindsight, I have to question whether this was wise, so close to where I was seated, knowing I would tick. So that to me is what you're talking about. That relates to what you're talking, because I said it earlier, but I want to connect it up again with what you just said, Winston. By making this move, they have fucked over Black artists and creatives and someone like John Davidson, putting them at each other's throats or causing this drama with each other. And you've done both a disservice. And it's a horrible mistake to make. And I have to believe there was an arrogance, a stupidity,
or God forbid, a willingness to create a social media firestorm to bring attention to your award show at a time now when award shows don't get that high ratings anymore. And I think it's a horrible thing because both Delroy Lindo, Alan Cumming, Michael B. Jordan, whoever was the focus of these ticks, were subjected to this stuff. And then poor John Davis, who's sitting there, who has a condition that he cannot control, is subject to people's scrutiny and people's anger. So I think I think there should be lawsuits here, to be honest with you, and firings all across.
I mean,
the board.
because think about all the things that by the way the BAFTAs and the BBC handle this. Think about all the stuff you undercut.
Mhm.
You undercut the fact that I swear a movie that I guarantee a majority of people knew nothing about.
Yeah, I had no idea.
While you may now be, it's out there like that.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily put it in the light of people being like, I got to go run and see this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Instead, it comes off as people now probably turning their nose potentially at the movie in the first place.
Yeah.
You look at the fact that this was a massive win, like a historic win with Sinners, that you ended up in a scenario where it won screenplay, which I believe it's the first time ever that a black screenwriter won that there. Yes. I believe it also won. Did it win director? Am I crazy? No. Director isn't up there. It was right. That's not one of Paul Thomas Anderson won. So, right. But what the fact that you ended up with screenplay, the fact that you ended up with oh my God, why am I blanking on her name all of a sudden? Jesus Christ. Wunmi. The fact that
Wunmi Masaku. Yes.
That and how massive that was.
Yes.
All of that is now completely undercut. Yeah. And you have just essentially, in the way that we were talking about like Will Smith and the slap at the Oscars, how that undercut completely his Oscar win, and essentially anybody in the remainder of the show that was then set to win, it undercut all of that, because now the only thing that was being talked about was said slap.
Right.
The same thing has kind of happened with this. And this isn't from a situation of where the difference is in that moment with Will doing that and everything else. It was almost a self-inflicted, like whatever. This is a scenario where you could have controlled how this played out into the public sphere as a whole. So anybody that was at the ceremony may have known, and you could have put out whatever statement if you needed to about, that kind of stuff happened. But by allowing this to go down, you have besmirched your awards. Nobody really gives a shit about your awards anymore. You've besmirched the winners. Yeah. Like, people aren't focused on the positive that it's there. You have genuinely made a mockery of John, of the winners, of everything.
Yep.
And that to me is where they need to be 100% called the fuck out.
Yeah, 100%. And and what also gets overshadowed is the actor who played John Davidson in this role won the BAFTA award for Best Actor over Timothée Chalamet and Leonardo, and now he's overshadowed because of this situation. And sadly, it didn't end just at the award show. Hannah Beachler, who is the production designer for Sinners, wrote on X that while the Davidson situation, quote, is almost impossible, it happened 3 times that night, and one of the 3 times was directed at myself on the way to dinner after the show. So this is, I mean, like, you certainly don't want to, you certainly can't blame the man because of the condition that he has, but I feel like there has to be a more responsible way to approach these kinds of situations, because quite a few presenters and quite a few people who were there as guests and actors and creatives were never told that he had this condition and that there were going to be comments made, or they were never told this. And that's what a lot of them said afterwards. They were never warned about this, that they warned the audience before the show started, but most of the presenters were in the green room, were in other places off stage, did not hear this warning and did not receive this warning. So they were reacting to it all in real time, and that to me gives Lindo and Michael B. Jordan even more like respect, that they didn't just come down off that stage and confront somebody, which really would have been, like you said, the Will Smith, Chris Rock situation, very uncomfortable. A gentleman who has a condition being confronted because the people on stage and the people who were going to present were not warned ahead of time that this could be an issue, right? And so that's the thing that's also kind of murky about all of this, that it was handled terribly, and the people in charge honestly dropped a massive ball here, and now they look like incompetent buffoons for having this go out the way it did. And this gentleman's life is now even more damaged, and the whole point the reason he did the movie was to bring awareness to this condition, how terrible this condition is, and how people need to treat them better in society. And now you've essentially turned that message on its head, and all these people are coming after him. And as you said, becoming ableists in their ignorance of the knowledge of this condition and attacking him for it.
And that I think is always the thing that is so scary and disgusting. And we've seen it throughout history, is that if somebody gets offended, hurt, attacked in any form or fashion, that instead of addressing the thing directly, you fully tilt into perpetrating the same, if not worse, to the initial offender. And the worst part is if it was by accident. Like it's one thing if somebody did something to you intentionally to harm you,
right?
And you still, that's where God, like, people should study Batman more. The idea of like, if I go that far, then I'm no worse than the evil that was perpetrated,
right?
Whether intentional or otherwise. Like, that's not the way. You know what I'm saying? And I really, really hope that for anybody that genuinely hurt and offended, that you hear that because it obviously bothered me too, but like, your feelings and the hurt that you're feeling is not invalid. And I genuinely am so sorry that this hurt you, but do not become the thing that you are constantly speaking out against. Do not do that shit.
Yeah, because then you're being turned and twisted away from the people who are actually the villains of the piece. The BBC, I don't know how much BAFTA is a part of this as well, or, you know, with what went down with them, but like, you're being turned away from that to go into this battle, and that's not what your focus should be. You know, the gentleman has a condition, but it's the people who understood what his condition was and didn't prepare for it accordingly, and still didn't issue an apology after the whole debacle went down. They said, well, there's going to be some offensive language in this ceremony. They didn't say, we apologize to people specifically by name for what happened. And that, to me, is the coward's way out.
And I think the two other things that I would say about it real quick, I saw that Bruce Cambozos says, you know, I'm tired of turning the other cheek. And I hear that. But again, what are we turning the other cheek for? Like, you in this particular instance, there is a bad guy here. There is somebody that actually allowed this to do maximum damage, and that is genuinely the BBC and the BAFTAs. So take all your rage out on them. They deserve it. That is, they deserve to hear what pain they have caused and any repercussions that comes from that. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised that there isn't some, in the way that there's, I guess, the FCC out here, not that we trust them anymore. I'm surprised that there isn't some sort of FCC standards, at least over in Britain, that doesn't come at them for that as well. You know what I'm saying? Again, you literally bleeped other stuff out. Like, someone was explaining to me that apparently part of the reason about the editing out Free Palestine shit that went down, which is, again, bullshit. But them doing that, I guess, is the idea of, any reference to that whatsoever in like British television is automatically, it's like saying the F word on like national television or whatever it is, and it will automatically end up with people losing jobs and everything else like that. How is accidental or not? You played it on your broadcast, and it wasn't live. If it was live, what do you can only do so much, because it's like, but it wasn't live. So you made a conscious decision. So I don't remember what my second point is, but that's all right. It's
So just to give a little context here before we leave this, as reported on Variety, a number of outbursts from Davidson could be heard throughout the BAFTA ceremony, including "shut the fuck up" being shouted during an introductory speech from BAFTA chair Sarah Putt, and "fuck you" when the directors of Bong, which won the BAFTA for Best Children and Family Film, accepted their award. So these are the things that were said all last night, or Sunday night rather. And there wasn't, and then eventually he removed himself. Like John removed himself. John saw the hurt he was causing. He saw that the mic was there and he was saying these things and it was being heard in the auditorium. And I'm sure he was mortified and removed himself. Now, what BAFTA did was they set up a room for him so he could watch the rest of the ceremony. Delroy Lindo says that no one from the BBC or BAFTA apologized to him afterwards. No one, or MBJ. Now, how the fuck are you taking care of Davidson to make sure he's okay, but you're not coming to your two black creatives who were just presenting an award for your ceremony, and you don't apologize to them or check on them to make sure they're okay? Not apologizing for John Davidson. You apologize for you fucking dropping the ball in this situation.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is that Davidson, again, once it was realized that it was too much, he removed himself. And I think that in and of itself should also be like commended as far as that goes and everything else. But the last thing I remember my other point is that I highly recommend anybody that's not in the offended group when that stuff goes down to, even if you have a logical point of what's going on, to be aware of how tense that situation is. There was a lot of policing that white people were doing to black people for being upset. It's one thing. It is one thing to be like, I hear you. I'm so sorry. The only thing I'm bringing up is like, yo, please be careful with that ableism that's coming out, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
You want to call out something specific like that, that's fine. But you need to still acknowledge the fact that this is not coming from a random place. This isn't random hate. This is coming from a place of pain and whatnot. So being able to, as that Travis Kelce commercial said about doing two things at once, you need to be able to do two things at once. You need to be able to understand that people are hurting from what happened in this moment and that they were offended. But you also need to be able to articulate what you think needs to happen as far as trying to protect somebody that might then also be on the receiving end of a situation kind of backlashing, if that makes sense. I think you need to be, the world is so more than black and white, no pun intended. It is in gray, and you need to be able to live in those worlds of gray. You need to be able to see the hurt that's being caused and acknowledge it while also trying to prevent more harm. Like both things can happen.
I'm so tired of people who want to live in a fantasyland world, believing that politics don't bleed into every area of our lives. That world that we used to live in is over. Okay. And I think people really need to understand that. And people crying, everything's political. The world is political. Everything now is political. The stakes have been driven sky high. And so this idea of wishing for a world that doesn't have politics anymore, where you don't have to pay attention and you don't have to be very careful and you don't have to be aware of what could happen, those days are over. Grow up. This is what I would say to any adult on the BAFTA or BBC productions team who thought they could blow this off or thought that it wasn't a big deal. You need to do better. People need to do better and be aware of these things and be better at messaging, be better at when stuff goes down and immediately addressing the situation and making sure it's clear where they're coming from. And that did not happen here. And this is going to keep happening for people who want to stick their heads in the sand and think that this is not a political world.
Well, and the thing I would say specifically to what you said about politics, you may not F with politics, but politics will F with you.
Yes.
The other thing you need to keep in mind, everybody, that politics were always something you were a part of, whether you knew it or not.
Yeah.
But because of the world we live in between social media and everybody deciding that they want to voice their opinion as loud as possible immediately, and because we have decided to elect officials, which it started with Trump, but then it fell into Brexit and everything that was up in the UK. And then you have what's his name in Argentina, that with the chainsaw, I don't even remember his fucking name.
Right.
We've seen the rise of all of these political figures that have made it their business to actively go out and offend and harm people with their words and with their policies more so than ever. That we do not live in the same world where you were allowed to just pretend like it's not a thing and to focus on what's going on. Unless we decide as a society to turn off social media and to call out these Elons and the Zuckerbergs and that allowed these algorithms to cause us to constantly fight each other.
Right.
Unless you are going to vote out these pieces of shit that have decided to run for office and oh man, he hilarious, like whatever. Oh, whatever. I just got the policy I wanted, so I don't care. Unless those things are going to change, we do not get to live in that world anymore.
Yeah.
I love the show Fallout. I'm in the middle of playing Fallout 4. The whole point of that game is the bombs have gone off. The world is never going back to what it looks like before the Great War.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same shit. We live in a different time, in a different world. And so you need to make those adjustments. And unless you figure out how to put all that shit back in the box, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So accept it.
Yeah, exactly. And miss me with this whole, we need to find them. Oh, come on. We miss me with all that nonsense.
I can't. That shit drives me crazy because I can't find middle ground with somebody that hates me and my existence and will do everything in their power to undercut it. That's not a thing. You cannot find middle ground with somebody that is trying to end your existence.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
whether to actually kill you or otherwise, you cannot negotiate with that.
And you sent me this, and let's finish up this topic with, as if this topic wasn't already fraught with issues. Google got in trouble today because they issued this particular thing about the situation, how the Tourette's fallout unfolded about the film. The Hollywood Reporter, see more on the N-word. That was actually out as a Google notice on social media.
Via their AI.
Via their AI. Of course, their AI. Google apologized for sending out, quote, an offensive notification, which included the use of the N-word. Google confirmed to Variety that it was received by only a very small subset of app users who receive a push notification and was not due to a system error involving AI and has been incorrectly reported. According to Google, the system's safety filters did not correctly trigger when it recognized a euphemism for an offensive term on several web pages and accidentally applied the offensive term to the notification text. That's what they're saying here with this madness. So the thing that's frustrating to me, listen, I'm not black, okay? I'm not black, but I have lived through this life. Yeah, exactly. I've lived.
What? Are you shitting me? That's the only reason I did this goddamn show. I thought you were Afro-Latino. This is bullshit. I'm out, bro.
What's that scene over here? No, Richard Pryor's like, I'm black. Here's the thing but I have, of course, lived this life. I have had many, many black friends. I grew up with a number of black friends. I see what they go through, talk to their parents. Like, it is always black people who are the subject of this shit. It is so frustrating that I cannot even imagine what it's like to be a black person. And almost every other day is like, what do we have to get over now? What do we have to deal with now? What stupid shit did AI fuck us over about or Google fuck us over about now? It's insane, Winston.
It's literally why I've said over and over again that we really need to let black women be at the forefront of leading us out of this hellscape. It's because, as Malcolm X said, and it's not just America, it's the world. The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is a black woman. And again, you can apply that to worldwide. And that goes from the standpoint of, as women, since we live in a patriarchal society, women have always been essentially second-class citizens. Not just essentially, they have been. That's just how the society has put that. And then as black people, we have also been second-class citizens. Now, mind you, yes, have there been steps to put rights and all that kind of, yes,
sure,
yes,
of course.
I hear it.
Yes.
We're not in, the Jim Crow South or full-blown slavery or anything else like that, but that does not mean that harm is not still being done, that stereotypes are not constantly being pushed, that this kind of hurt isn't kind of happening. It's the reason why I always say that black women need to be at the forefront is because since they know a pain that nobody else can truly understand, they are also the only ones that really understand how to potentially solve this problem.
I hope so. Yeah.
And further beyond that, but going back to the Google AI situation, this is what you want to turn over the future to.
Yeah.
This underdeveloped tech that you've allowed to be rampant all over the place. This is what you want to hand it over to. We saw Mecha Hitler from Grok last year.
Yeah.
Seeing this now, this is what it's not to say that humans don't make mistakes. They do all the time, but you are actively handing over the keys to the kingdom to these different programs constantly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right.
It's so true. It's so true, brother. And Phoenix says this, I will say, Winston, that this is a worldwide problem, not just here. Phoenix is absolutely right. You and I follow the Premier League over the last few days, there have been a number of games where black players either missed a penalty or didn't score a goal or something like that, and they were subjected to insane amounts of racial abuse. A number of the players are posting. Oh, what's that? Say that again.
I remember what happened to Super Mario. There was some big shot he missed years ago. It's been like 5 or 6 years, and then all of a sudden they just had them on them. All of a sudden, all these bananas start raining down on the fucking
yes,
kid because he missed an important kick. I'm like,
yep.
I am aware that it's all over the world. I just know that the quote specifically from Malcolm X was about America, but it's worldwide. Honestly,
this is absolutely happening worldwide, and it's just insane how much the attacks on black people across the spectrum. Yes, there are other groups, of course, Jewish people and what they endure, and but it's there. But seems to be consistently across the world how much black people have to endure the things that they endure. It's frustrating.
And to that point, the idea of what someone said, don't blame the program, blame the programmers. I mean, I blame the programmers. I blame the people that decided to allow this to be done when it's clearly not ready to be put out there and things like that. That's what I blame. I blame the idea that we have, again, decided to take this technology. We've decided to openly put it out there. And then we end up with situations where, like, again, Grok was actively taking women's photos and people were able to prompt it to make them nude or put them in and whatever. And it was being applied to not just women, but underage women. The fact that Mecha Hitler was allowed to be a thing. The fact that this was about to happen. Again, we have decided it's okay to just actively go, no, this is good. This is good enough. And to not take the time to take a step back and be like, well, wait a minute, maybe this isn't ready. And that's why it seems like such crazy hyperbole. But why this whole time I've sat here on edge that we're watching a scenario where the Matrix or Skynet could ultimately go down because you're not taking enough precautions to stop your greed to just get this thing the fuck out there because you feel like you could be at the forefront of like the market before it happens. You're talking about something that could genuinely be a problem and not just from offending people. It could be an actual problem where people could get physically hurt, and you're not crossing your T's and dotting your I's a million times before you start handing shit over. That is where I'm like, fuck the program, fuck the programmers, fuck the people that invested in it. You are playing with powers that you were not ready for, and we thank God that so far this is the worst of what's potentially happened, and it hasn't been something far worse.
Yeah, but the way they're barreling towards AI. And you've got a Department of Defense or War, whatever they want to call themselves this week, pushing these AI companies to come on board so they can use the AI to track people, to violate people's privacies, to get into their homes. We saw what happened with that Ring camera commercial at the Super Bowl. When you see all of that happening, you see very clearly that people are running like crazy with AI without realizing the ramifications and the destruction that's coming. And it will be too late. It will be too late by the time we all wake up to realize what this AI can do. And then it's all over at that point. And trust me on that, it'll be all over at that point. And right now, they're projecting 20% unemployment in 15 to 20 years if AI takes over everything. What are we going to do there as a global society then? Sorry,
that's a great question. That's a great question. The last thing I was going to say, I don't know if I missed this part when you were talking about the Variety interview, but he did contact the studio to directly apologize to Michael Delroy and Hannah Beachler.
Yeah,
so like on top of that, I think that needs to be shouted from the top of the rooftops as much as possible, because I think that it will say a lot about how people respond to hearing that. If you after now you have a scenario where John has made these personal apologies to them. If you're still trying to get up his ass about this, then you are nothing but an ableist, in my opinion, at that point.
100%. 100%. Well, let us know what you think about it. What do you think about all this situation? What do you think about everything we said? We spent like 40 minutes on this conversation. So let us know what your thoughts are on all of this, because clearly it was a very nuanced situation that happened with a lot of complexity in terms of where John Davidson was coming from, what happened with the BBC, the BAFTAs, everything like that. Let us know your thoughts. Send in your questions, thoughts, and comments as we go along. We got well over 300 of you hanging out with us live tonight. Thank you so much. And we got 11 super chats. If you can send in more of your questions, thoughts, and comments as we go along, feel free. Now let's segue out of something very controversial and tough and move on to something that was interesting. Winston, you are one of the co-hosts of Capes and Cows. I co-host Geek Buddies and Hot Mike. And this is a big story. Spider-Man, Tom Rothman. Ladies and gentlemen, they are rebooting Spider-Man. This is absolutely happening here. Insane to think about it after the debacle of what Sony did with the previous Spider-Man. But yes, the Spider-Man extended universe is not dead. Sony Pictures chairman and CEO Tom Rothman confirmed the studio is planning a, quote, fresh reboot to the Spider-Man extended universe after the franchise's string of box office disappointments. He was on Matt Bellany's podcast On the Town, and he was asked, where are we with the Spider-Man franchise? Not the animated Spider-Verse. Is the larger Spider-Verse dead? No, said Rothman. Are you going back to those at some point? Yes, said Rothman, but it'll be a fresh reboot? Yes. New people? Yes, yes. So that is apparently the approach to this Winston A. Do we trust the same people who fucked it up for the first time in terms of Tom Rothman being the head of Sony to get it right this time by bringing in new people to be in charge of it? Do you think this is a Lord and Miller possibly being moved into this position after they finish up with this Spider Noir show that's about to come out?
So here's the thing.
Okay, break it down.
If you decide to launch a Spider-Man universe,
yes,
without Spider-Man, you will fail again.
Yeah.
The reason this failed was not only because those movies were like bad, because they were. I don't give a fuck about Madam Web without talking about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn about Kraven the Hunter without talking about Spider-Man. I don't give a flying two-headed symbiote conversation, Tom Hardy acting his ass off fuck about Venom, who is only Venom because Eddie Brock and the Venom symbiote both hate Peter Parker and Spider-Man for feeling like their lives were ruined without fucking Spider-Man. Yeah. So, that being said, if you're talking about a world where we continue to let Tom do his thing and Tom is in the MCU, and that is because it's a multiversal thing in the first place in this universe, Tom lives over there and we can bring him over sometimes because, you know, we still own the rights to Spider-Man. Cool. And then you want to let Toby or Andrew or whoever be the main focus of your Spider-Verse stuff over with Sony, go for it.
Yeah.
But if you actually think that you will succeed putting out a Lizard series and there ain't no goddamn Spider-Man, you have lost the plot and you deserve to have the Morbin time. We put Morbius back out in the theaters and lost even more money. You deserve for that to keep happening to you because that doesn't make logical sense.
Yeah. I don't understand. They just stopped everything and they paused it. People were very excited about this. And they're like, okay, great. They're going to look at this again down the road, and we're going to take a break from these terrible Spider-Man movies. But it's the same CEO who's in charge of Sony. Why do I trust him that he's going to make the right moves here? Who is the team he's going to bring in? And as you said, what Spider-Man are we going with? Are we going to go with Andrew Garfield? Are we going to go with Tobey Maguire? Or are we going to bring in Miles Morales? Are we opening the door to Miles Morales at a time when, you know, the anti-woke people seem to be ruling the creative landscape? Are you going to launch a whole new Spider-Man franchise with a Afro-Latino fucking Spider-Man? I would love to see it. But is that character strong enough to be able to launch a whole new Spider-Verse universe that people will be excited about? Or are you going to bring in a whole new actor to play a young Peter Parker? Because I think Tom's going to be done probably after Secret Wars. So this is a fascinating situation to hear, but I think nothing matters until they announce who the heads of the universe are going to be. Who is going to be essentially their Kevin Feige of the Spider-Man universe. Until they announce that, I think we're just going to be cautiously or trepidatious rather about the situation.
And I push back on Phoenix Warp saying I don't know, I could see a universe where you have those villains without Spidey, but it has to be done right. I am not attacking you, but that sentiment I call BS for this reason and this reason alone. This isn't like the Joker, where the Joker is initially just spawned by chaos, but once he finds Batman, then his whole existence becomes Batman.
Right.
Literally, this is more or less the rest of these villains. They are villains and doing this kind of situation, and Spider-Man is their reason for existing and pushing forward. It's not to say that they don't, like, you have an Ock and he's losing his mind, and so then he's like, well, I just need whatever money. Damn you, Spider-Man. Like, in every case, their existence comes into being because Spider-Man did something to them.
Yeah.
So I can't like, and I'm not trying to see Doc Ock fighting the Goblin. Maybe within the context of because the world that they all live in, but it's because Spider-Man, quote unquote, wronged them in some way. And so to not have that does not make logical sense.
Yeah.
It genuinely does not.
Yeah.
I do not see a world where that works. So you need to have a Spider-Man involved. And I don't think that the spin-off Spider-Man of, like, say, Spider-Man Noir is enough to carry that. I do not think that the Spider Noir Ben Reilly is enough to carry the entirety of the Spider-Man universe, unless what you're saying, your Spider universe is all noir. Like, that doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of need your base. You need your basic version in order to do that. Now, you can make the argument with Miles, because Miles has become to the point of being close enough and synonymous with Peter at this point. But like you said, then you're dealing with the anti-woke, you're just DEI and Spider-Man. Like, you're going to have to deal with that shit, just like you just pointed out. So I don't even know if that works. So you're going to have to really spell it out for me, because if it's anything like what we just went through, it's going to fail. If
you go Spider-Man 2099, it's a Latino. If you go Gwen Stacy, it's a woman. If you go, like, there's just all these directions away from Peter Parker are going to lead them into situations with the loud anti-woke fuckers. And the truth is, you got to make a bold decision if you're going to start this thing all over again. Hopefully they've got a plan, or they're talking to people who have a plan and are going to put this stuff in motion, because it is an IP that endures. As shitty as some of those movies are, some of them made money. So it's like, okay, you actually had a Venom trilogy, for God's sakes, which is insane because they were progressively worse as they went along, but it was able to endure. So imagine what you could do if you add Spider-Man, but they've got to add the Spider-Man situation, or else I think people won't go. People will be like, I don't give a shit, because then you're constantly turning every villain into an anti-hero, and then there are no villains, and that's what killed the universe the first time.
1,000%.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
1,000%.
So true. All right, let's move on. Winston, what do you want to talk about, man? You want to talk about the Olympic men's hockey team, or you want to ignore that shit? What's your feeling on that?
What else do we have on the docket potentially?
We got this one on the docket. We also get a little controversial on that one there, if you want to talk about that. But I mean, I feel like you're exhausted. So what would you want to talk about? What do you want?
I am so tired of talking about racism. Like,
all right, we're gonna leave it alone.
In the last week of Black History Month, fuck that racist cracker that is trying to talk about little black students. Kiss my ass. I hope you lose your job. Those are my thoughts. Next topic. Like, we can talk U.S. hockey. That's fine.
Well, we could get a little bit deeper into this. What about the Paramount Netflix? Are you exhausted by that situation, or do you want to talk about
it? It's fine. I mean, okay. Yes, but it's ever evolving. So sure.
Yeah, here's the new one, and this is actually kind of. We'll read the article together. Apparently, Paramount boosts bid for Warner Brothers to $31 per share could lead to a superior proposal over Netflix. The Warner Brothers Discovery Board of Directors announced Tuesday that a revised bid from Paramount Skydance of $31 per share could reasonably be expected to lead to a superior proposal in its potential acquisition deal with Netflix. The press release said that WBD's board, quote, has not made a determination as to whether the revised proposal is superior to the merger agreement with Netflix, and WB will engage further with Paramount to determine if a company's superior proposal, a term defined within the language of its Netflix pact, can be reached. If the board finds such a deal has been received, Warner Brothers Discovery says Netflix will have 4 business days after such determination to negotiate with WB and to propose any revisions to the Netflix transaction. So that's an interesting situation here. And the news just came out about an hour ago that David Ellison of Paramount will be at the State of the Union tonight, of course, to kiss President Trump's ass. So here we go. Paramount finally got to a number where the board might consider it, but Netflix has 4 days to match it. So where are you on this? What are your thoughts?
I mean, like I said, was I happy about Sarandos and what he was going to do to the theatrical window? No, but I am more concerned about the state of democracy, of free speech, and this country as a whole than I am about movies being in movie theaters. And that's saying something from somebody who my whole living, whether it's being on the screen or talking about what's on the screen, revolves around movies being in movie theaters. You are looking at a scenario. Look at what what a mockery CBS News has already become.
Yes.
Look at the amount of stuff that's already being kind of wiped out, and the like legitimate journalists like Anderson Cooper, for example, who I didn't even realize was on 60 Minutes, has walked away. He's done with 60 Minutes because of the nonsense that's going on. So it sucks because it feels like we're getting closer and closer to that being what's going to end up happening. When I say that I'm tired for so many reasons. Like I am tired of having to deal with a constant barrage of racism. I'm tired of feeling like democracy is hanging by a thread. I'm tired to know that like the industry that I love and what it produces is either has to go through a strike, or if that strike's not happening, has to go with it just being incredibly slow or moving out of towns or things like that, or then has to go through whatever murders where jobs are getting completely like destroyed and things like that. I am so tired, John. I would love to take a very long nap. like I don't I am my God. Like so you know, if I'll say this much, if you have to literally go and kiss the ass of the most thin-skinned leader this side of Putin and or Kim Jong-un in order to get your business deal pushed through, then you're pretty sad, in my opinion. That's a little pathetic. I understand what, and I've said that about Tim Cook, like the fact that he went to go kiss the ring. I said that about Zuckerberg. I've said it about everybody that's been kissing his ass. That's pathetic, honestly. But you're gonna do what you're gonna do. What can I say about it? I can give my opinion, but I'm not the one running these companies, so they're obviously going to continue to do the shit.
True. One more thing. What do you think about maybe this will cheer you up a little bit. The Marvel Wolverine game. Have you been looking forward to this?
Very excited about that. I'm very excited about that.
It's coming out they announced today that the game is coming out on September 15th. That's the release date for Marvel's Wolverine. This will be the first party title currently planned for 2026. It will arrive in stores a full 2 months before the release of Grand Theft Auto 6, which is on November 19th. This game was announced 5 years ago, Winston.
Rocha, it's for PlayStation only. I quit. I'm tired. I still can't fucking play Spider-Man 2 because I don't have a PlayStation because my shit got hacked by Sony. They wouldn't help me, and all of my library and saves are gone. I am so tired. I thought maybe they had changed their mind and this was also coming out for Xbox. This is why we just can't have nice things. My dog gets her food. Like I hear her auto feeder going. She's happy as can be. She's happy as shit. I am so tired.
So it's only going to be PS5. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess Can't you start a new account?
It's a whole in theory, but like I don't want to. The problem is I spent call it like a cool $1,800, $2,000.
Wow.
On like a library and buying the system and all that. He did absolutely nothing to help me.
Wow.
I had receipts. I had like all sorts of stuff. Not only was it impossible to ever get anybody on the phone, I was not able to get anybody on the phone after that. And I got dead end customer service, clearly either AI or somebody outside the country or whatever, just like dead end. Sorry, can't do anything. Bye. And then never again was anybody to take my shit. So like, I don't trust them anymore. So unless it was unless a PS5 was handed to me for free, I refuse to buy a PS5 because why would I spend more money on a company that shit on me?
That's true. That's true. Maybe you and Jay need to do a Sunday live stream where you stay on until both of you get a PS5. Oh, well, let's get into some questions here. We got 13, 14 questions. Let's answer some questions. And if we have time for more news items on the back end, we'll do that here because we're an hour into the show. Pajaro says BAFTAs failed MBJ, Delroy, and John. Poor prep. Agreed. Yeah.
100%.
Agreed. I talked to a producer friend of mine who produces he was one of the producers on the Actor Awards, the SAG Awards. And she texted me like, this is an utter embarrassment of bad preparation, that they should have been much more aware of what was happening. So
like, did you let Google AI run your show? Like how did we get here?
Yeah. Wiley OFC, what's up? Wiley says, Rocha, I've been watching the Beatles anthology for the first time. It's so good. Yeah, that's on Apple. No, sorry, it's on Disney Plus. But who do you think they will cast as Pete Best in the Beatles movies? Ooh, that's a great question. I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, because Stuart Sutcliffe. No, that was someone else. What's his face? Stephen Dorff played him in the Backbeat movie. I mean, I don't know who. I mean, if you look at this guy, I don't know what comes to mind. I mean, it's an interesting situation when you look at Pete Best. Let's see. Did they show it here? Yeah, like there he is. Sure, I'll accept all these. Yeah, I don't know he's kind of like a Frankie Valli looking mofo. So I don't know who you get as him. I don't know. Any young actors come to mind? It's probably someone probably on Euphoria, someone on Euphoria or someone on one of those Netflix shows. Maybe someone on Industry, which I'm now currently watching. What a fucking show. Jesus Christ. So I don't know, Wiley. We'll see though. Let's see. Fred Tazza says, R.I.P. Robert Carradine. Lewis was a stud. Yeah, from Revenge of the Nerds. And Lizzie McGuire's dad, for those of you who are from that era. Robert Carradine passed away.
Wait, he was in Revenge of the Nerds.
He was the main guy, yes.
I did not put two and two together. I only really thought about him from Lizzie McGuire. That is right. Oh man. Yeah. No, R.I.P. for sure.
Yeah, he was great. I
completely forgot that was him. Jesus.
And he was one of those guys that like came back for the installments. Like he wasn't too good for it, like Anthony Edwards getting on ER. He came back for the installments. So God love him. Yeah. Stupid autocorrect. Yes, Fred. Thank you. Shut up. Ralph says, I was watching the BAFTAs with my black Muslim friend. They pissed him off twice with the N-word and censoring Free Palestine. Poor dude. There you go.
Be infuriating. Just like
Chris says, God help us if the Mad Cheeto brings up the BAFTAs situation at the State of the Union. I don't think he even knows the fuck the BAFTAs are, man. I can't imagine.
But he's I wouldn't put it past him to try and be like, look at the liberals. See, they hate disabled people. They're trying to go after John. He just spoke his mind. I say her all the time. What's the problem? I don't understand. I don't get it. So, I didn't understand why there were two of that Michael on that movie. I don't get it. I don't understand. So,
yikes. Can you imagine? Oh my God. Lord Webb says, I'm 50 minutes behind. I'm from St. Louis, and I'm disgusted by that incident. I would want to crawl under a rock or something much worse if I'd heard someone say that to one of my black friends. Well, I mean, those people, the people around John, they're aware of his condition. They prepare for his condition. They let people know around him what his condition is. So he's got a strong team around him. But I think there was nothing. I mean, they're not going to tell the BAFTAs or BBC where to place a mic, right? And so I think those are those things where things happen. They're out of their control, Winston.
Yeah, no, they again, F the BAFTAs and the BBC. That was on them.
Afro Boy Odyssey says people are turning ableist, but so many people are revealing their racism, and we can't ignore that.
And that's that's why I reiterated the idea of, with white people would be very careful about this idea of dismissing, because a lot of people did, the hurt that Black people were feeling. I genuinely think two things can be true at the same time, and we can acknowledge what this is, and you can acknowledge Black people's hurt, and then I then go back to Black folk and I also say, do not become the monster that you were trying to fight. Two things can be true.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Especially because, last little bit, think about all of the Black, because I've seen a lot of Black folk with Tourette's speaking on this and how painful this has been for them. Literally realize that by the way you were using that language, what you were saying to them, you should care about people as a whole. But if what you're talking about is protecting Black folk, I need you to understand the way you're deciding to talk about this, you were directly affecting Black people that suffer from this.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. We have to ask, you know what? It's a society that's more aware of everything. So more is going to be asked of you. And so many people want to shirk their responsibility to our society and live in some, again, as I said at the beginning, in some fantasy land where they can do the most minimal amount to do anything in this world. And the truth is, that's not the way the world is anymore. You got to step up to the plate. Wishing for a world that's never going to exist again is a waste of goddamn time. Do better. That's the way it is. Do better. Just My Opinion 84 says, just now tuning in, F him, F the BAFTAs, F the BBC, zero excuse for racism. I don't give a damn. All right. Fair.
Like you said,
I don't want to say, Page 79 says, this is prime example of how Sinners has been disrespected in this awards season. BBC didn't want all the love and articles downplayed it. Sinners is a beautiful film. So sad that my favorite genre is horror and gets no respect, and Black consciousness as well. Yeah, let's sit up. First of all, thank you so much, Paige, for the wonderful donation here in the super chat. Let's have this conversation, Winston. This has been a developing narrative from quite a few people, and I've certainly been a part of this as well, and what happened with Variety and how they didn't put Sinners, either one of their two white critics didn't put Sinners in their top 10. Clayton Davis has it in his top 10. He's not white, and he works at Variety. But your thoughts on do you think do you think there is a concerted effort here against the movie that's more than just their issues with the third act, that is a little bit of this bubbling sense of anger towards an overtly Black movie that is calling out white people's cultural appropriation of Black culture, which has been a foundational thing for decades in this country?
Yeah, because people don't like to have the mirror held up to themselves, because then they have to actually take a look at the blemishes and the imperfections that they have in their image. You don't see those normally because you cannot see yourself without a mirror being held up to it. And one of the things that art, in particular movies and TV, is meant to do is to hold that mirror up to society and then take a nice hard look. Now, it might look like a funhouse mirror because you're putting it in genre, but it's a mirror. And so to that point, yes, I think that what ends up happening a lot of times, and maybe it's because it's a funhouse mirror.
Yeah.
People will look and they'll go, that's not what I look like. How dare you? Like, and without understanding that, yeah, it is. And that's why people, depending on how they decide to talk about it, will get called out one way or the other, whether that be Variety or whoever. So yes, there is definitely an air that has gone about this, because there is a level of like the audacity of these Black folk is what this has read to me the entire time. The fact that we made a big deal out of Ryan and the rights deal that he made, even though he's not the first person to ever do that. And even if he was, that's a positive thing for artists. Why are we taking shots at him for that? You know what I'm saying? So like there is so much layered into how this has been handled throughout, that this just added one more thing. And I'll be honest with you, that's probably why a lot of this rage has also come out at this whole moment. This is just one more slap in the face that has been going on since really that first Variety article dropped, and then everything that came after.
Yeah. It is becoming just so exhausting to see this stuff. This is a damn good movie, and to see people get so angry that this movie is getting so much love, to me, it has an air of racism to it. Now, whether it's a little bit or a lot or a medium amount is a matter of perspective. But to me, the anger people seem to have at this movie for its success and for its accomplishments, I think is just kind of weird to me. It is very weird to me. I get not liking a movie, but there's like actual vitriolic responses to this movie getting all the love it's getting from the awards bodies. And to undercut it, as I will highlight my own co-host did on the hot mic, that, oh, people are only liking it because it's a black movie and they feel the pressure to like a black movie. It was a ridiculous argument that we battled over on the show, and I'll say it again. And I see that from some other critics when they're not on a mic or when they're not writing articles, they're saying it under their breath, or they're saying it where they think they're safe. They're saying things like that about Sinners, and it is supremely frustrating.
I mean, I was shying away from it, but I'll call it back out as well since you brought it up. I mean, then to follow up with, like a month or two ago, well, this was just a weak movie season as a whole. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's also that you fell for the same trap. What was the Yu-Gi-Oh? You just activated my trap card. That's the same fucking argument that you had the first time. They only liked it because it's a black film. To say that that's not, when there were so many incredibly powerful and well done films, that's insane to me. Yeah. And so, yes, again, that's not unique to the individual you just mentioned. That is a scenario, again, throughout the industry that has gone on. But again, as a black person, black people are used to this shit. It doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that we should have to be. Right. But this is a tale as old as time, bro, at this point, is that anything that we do, which is why black people are told you got to work twice as hard to get half as much. We're literally told that because that's exactly how people talk about us and the things that we do.
Yep. KJ says, please watch the film. I swear when it comes out in the USA, it will leave you in tears from heartbreak and crying with laughter. Okay.
I will. I plan on doing it personally. But I am genuinely concerned that because of what just went down, that a lot of people are just going to instantly turn their backs to it.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about that. And that's, again, a failure on the BBC and the BAFTAs for letting that happen, because it sounds like it's a very powerful film that you have tainted in the same way that I mentioned. You tainted the history that Sinners made. You just tainted the powerful message that I swear could have potentially delivered to a lot of people, because they're going to immediately just associate it with this.
Yes, 100%. 100% agree with you.
See, right now, someone just said, I have no interest in that film now. That is horrible. That is not what the lesson should have been from this at all. But because of the BAFTAs and the BBC, here we are.
Yeah, true. Ben says Rocha should react to the State of the Union. The reaction would be a middle finger, bro. If I could sit through 2 or 3 hours of that shit, I'd do it. But no fucking way, man. No way. It would drive me insane. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Michael Miles says if he apologized sooner, he could have avoided this huge backlash. Empathy, acknowledgement, and grace goes both ways. He issued an apology. So for me, it's time to turn the page. Hopefully, we all learn something from this. I have to say, I don't disagree with Michael. I think an apology should have been out that night from his team or from him, specifically apologizing to Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo and Ellen Cumming and anyone else, and Hannah Beachler, who were in earshot of the things that he said, or were the direct results of what he said, or whatever you want to say there. The reason he said what he said. I think that should have been out on that first night, or the next night when the uproar, or the next day rather, on Monday when the uproar was hitting a fever pitch. To do it now, I think is good, but I think in the future, I hope they're aware to do it immediately. You're not apologizing for your condition. You're apologizing for the hurt you caused in that moment.
But what's interesting about this, and this is where I challenge people to just take a minor step back of both everything that was going on with this, but B, we don't know, because the report doesn't say when this happened. It says since the fallout, which literally started a couple hours after the show.
Yes.
But this is the first interview that's gone down, and that's how they're opening it up. So we don't actually know when that apology happened. This is the first time that we've heard of it. So I caution, I don't discredit what you're saying. The longer you let something happen without apology happen, it amplifies the hurt, and I don't disagree with that.
Festers.
But you don't have factual evidence of when that apology went out.
Right.
Genuinely don't. There's also a scenario where John may not have had the ability to get a hold of them right away, because it even said that he went through the studio that's handling Sinners. So it may have been, woke up the next morning, we got to call them immediately and whatnot. And that shit probably happened midday yesterday. And again, we don't know, because we are not Michael or Delroy or Hannah or the studio. So that's the only other thing that I would just say with that as like a cautionary thing. But I agree, the longer you will let something harmful fester without an apology or a course of action to correct it, the more hurt is going to amplify.
Yeah, and you have to find out, like, if he went to the after show.
And Lee Mumbai, that's not true. We've already talked about this. There were no other slurs or offensive outbursts. Yes, there were. There were slung at Ian Cumming, homophobic slurs. There were all sorts of shuts up bitches and everything else. So that is incorrect.
Yeah.
That has already been reported multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah. He admitted it.
That's just the only one that ended up publicly, which again, fuck the BAFTAs, fuck the BBC. That's the only one that publicly broadcast, but there were other things that were said that were just edited out of the show.
Yeah. There were. And he admitted it in the interview. If you want to read the interview that's on Variety there, Lee. Let's see. Joe Mamba. Oh, sorry. Joe Mamba, how y'all feel about resistance and unsubscribe site? 3-gen household makes it hard to protest. Got to hit our GDP to get noticed. Love the Tequila Show.
Wait. How do y'all feel about the resist and unsubscribe site? 3-gen. I don't know what that is. I don't think I understand.
I don't know either. Resist and unsubscribe. Is that a thing?
3-gen household makes it hard to protest. Gotta hit our GDP to get.
Is it for against Amazon? I don't know what resist and unsubscribe. Oh, this is a website, resistandunsubscribe.com. Okay. Basically, these are people who are they list the companies that are supporting the president's administration and his policies. And so they're showing places they're giving you links where you can unsubscribe from these companies. It's quite a lot of them too. So interesting stuff. So yeah,
I mean, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing to hit in the pockets of stuff, but I also think that what you're describing, this just goes to show how, capitalism, especially unchecked capitalism, is just not a good thing. There's a lot of this that you're not going to be able to actually function as like a human in society unless we're going to really go. So I don't hate the sentiment, but I would almost make the argument, be more focused the way that like the Montgomery boycott was, the bus boycotts. Pick one and eviscerate them. If you want to be, if it's Amazon, fine. Then we're done everything Amazon. And it's not to say that all of them don't need to do this, but you almost need to make one an example, because what this will ultimately do, you're not going to get it is so much easier to get a whole bunch of group of people to pick one target to go at than to say, you need to get rid of everything that essentially at this point makes your life function. Like that's the only thing that I don't think is realistic, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh. Alan Smithy says Trump is suing my employer for $1 billion. We already have a 10% budget cut, and I've had my workload doubled with no pay increase. The lawsuit is over anti-Semitism, which is absurd. I'm getting tired. Yes, I know, Smithy. UCLA. He is suing UCLA for $1 billion. This is all he does is mob boss the shit out of our country. It really is absolutely horrific. He is lining his pockets with this nonsense. And unfortunately, we do not have a working Congress to push back on any of this. And we have to wait till November to actually be able to stop any of this from going down, if those midterms are even allowed to happen. So it is supremely frustrating, and we're still only in February.
John, I'm so tired.
I know, bro.
I'm so tired, bro. And like we're planning our wedding, and we were talking about doing it in Mexico, and now the second Trojan War is happening down in Mexico right now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We're gonna do that. So like I can't even just like go on a beach somewhere and just close my eyes for a little bit. Like I'm so tired, John.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. Karen Von Maiden, R.I.P. Robert Carradine. Absolutely, Karen. We talked about that earlier. Much love to him. Great guy. Great stuff, man. ES1398. Hate to ask you this question, but there have been some buzz on Stephen A. Smith being a presidential candidate. Do you guys take this seriously at all?
Unfortunately, yes. But I really hope he doesn't do it.
I take his desire to run for president seriously because I think he means it. I don't take his possibility of being a president seriously. I don't think that's possible. I think he would get eviscerated on a stage multiple times. And I don't think he has the following outside of the sports world that he thinks he does. And I think that's going to be made very clear to him. But of course, we don't know who the candidates are going to be. You know, is Tallarico going to come out of Texas and be somebody? Is AOC going to make the run? Is Gavin Newsom, who just released a memoir, is he going to make a run? So there's all kinds of people, but I just don't think Stephen A. Smith has any real legitimate shot to become president.
I mean, but the only thing I will say to push back on that a baby bit, though I think it's different. We said the same thing about Trump. That's the only thing is, unfortunately, Pandora's box has been opened. But to answer the direct question of him being a presidential candidate, if he wasn't serious about it, he would stop responding to that question. He continues to entertain it in interviews that he is in on other people's platforms or to bring it up on his own platform. So yes, he's pretty serious about it, whether he wants to say that or not. I'm not doing that, y'all. I'm not going to do it. But you asked me the question for the 50th time, so let me bring it up again.
Yeah, the difference between those two is one's white and one's black. And I just think the country would not necessarily be ready for Stephen A.
100% fair, but he has positioned himself in enough of a way that there's enough white people that they would do it. And then on top of that, what you maybe are losing in the Nick Fuentes level of racism, you're gaining in black folk that are like, hey, it's a black man. And that in and of itself is its own level of a problem.
Could be. WVU grad says, do you think Trump called into C-SPAN on Friday using a fake name? It certainly
sounded like him. If that was not the best impersonator of all time, that really sounded like him. And the fact that what was his name? It was John Barron.
John
Barron.
Your
middle name and your son's name? Oh, boy.
And he's used that name, by the way, as a code name in the past when he's wanted to go undercover or incognito. So listen, I think as a guy who's a voiceover artist and I know voices, I didn't think it was quite Trump. It was a little too high on the higher pitch than Trump, but who knows? It could have been voice modulation that on his end to make it seem like it wasn't him. C-SPAN said it wasn't him, that he was apparently in a meeting with governors at the time, but I wouldn't put it past him because he's such a stunt queen. I would not put it past him for him doing that. Court Emperor says Palantir is going to track us all legally soon. Yeah, I know.
But they were already doing it.
Yeah. And there's and this is not and you know what sucks? This is not a situation we go, well, I'm going to go to another country. They're doing it there too. It's going to be all over the world.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yep. Haskell, what's up, Haskell? Says, hey guys, so many heartbreaks with the loss of Rondale Moore, Carradine, and now Martin Short's daughter, Catherine, for mental health issues.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, obviously, Robert Carradine was natural causes, but Rondale Moore did take his own life, and Martin Short's daughter, Catherine, did take her own life as well. Sadly, from a self-inflicted, I think they said shotgun wound. So, yeah, she took her own life. Yeah, they found her at her home in the Hollywood Hills. I think it was yesterday at 6 p.m. PT. They found her there. But yeah, she had taken her own life. So, and the thing is, and I sent this to a friend of mine because I want to read this from her article, the article they wrote up here. She graduated from NYU with a bachelor's degree in psychology and gender sexuality studies in 2006. Then earned her master's degree in social work at USC. She worked at UCLA's Resnick Neuropsychiatric Hospital before going into private practice, according to People magazine. So this is a woman who is very, very capable of dealing with mental health issues. And sadly, we don't know the real reason or the reasons for why she took her own life, but it's a very sad story at 42 years old. Rondale Moore as well, 25 years old. I think he hung himself. He had blown out each knee and had lost a couple of seasons.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, 25, bro, is way too young. There's other things to do in life. You can go back to school, get a degree. You can find your new path if football isn't it. So that one was the one that obviously both of them, you know.
I the only thing I say to that, and I agree with you. Yes.
Yeah.
But like from the idea of like breaking my leg, and that did affect like my career for, you know, that period of time where I couldn't walk around. But when your entire career is purely based on that energy, like I know how hard my PT was and my recovery time. To imagine in that case where 2 years in a row, you not only ended up blowing out your knees, you had to go through surgeries again, you had to go through PT again, the depression you can get into, because I was very depressed with my leg break as far as that goes. I can only imagine. And I think that's I pray that, you know, seeing these 3 deaths in such rapid succession and to know that it was from people, you know, claiming their own lives, that this kind of wakes something up for us to look back and go, Jesus Christ, we are really dealing with like a serious mental health epidemic, and that people can do it. And if anything, like I think what this has done for me, there was a short film that I wrote that I was trying to produce and make, and I got sidetracked by a lot of stuff the last couple of years. If there was ever a time to go back and double down and get that thing done, I feel very strongly about it, because this is just absolutely heartbreaking. All 3 of them.
Yeah, agreed. 100% agreed. Corn Emperor says NVIDIA and Palantir will quote find us as U.S. enemies or whatever. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I pretty much. I mean, that's why, you know, the scariest thing I feel like that was brought up in the last like couple of weeks was the idea that the DOJ was demanding that Google, Facebook, and all of them turn over information about people that had something bad to say about ICE.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I didn't see that. Is that true?
Oh, yeah, dude. It was the DOJ asked for Google, Meta, I want to say Discord, Reddit, and I don't remember what the last company was, but they asked for like information regarding people that had negative things to say about ICE.
Wow. Yes, I did see that. Yes. They claimed they're only looking for people who are trying to organize, impeding their performance of their duties. But, you know, it could be anything, you know. It's a scary time to be an outspoken critic of this administration. They want you to be scared, which is really what's frustrating as well. Just to follow up with Karen said, I did not see that, Karen. So thank you for updating me, and I understand why you sent what you sent, Haskell. I didn't know that Robert Carradine took his own life.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just passing from an illness, but no.
He's been dealing with, I believe, bipolar his whole life, and he just unfortunately lost that battle.
Struggled for 2 decades with bipolar, and it got the best of it. Fuck, that's even, you know, God damn it, man. I say this, you know, I again, people know this. I almost took my own life in 2016. I went through the worst depression that in 6 months. I was the worst hell I could ever imagine going through. I was very fortunate people stepped up for me and saved my life. And the thing about mental health is you just never know. And you never know when it's coming. You never know how it's going to grab you. You never know what factors are going to come together at a certain time and you take your life. And I always look at it like a battlefield. You just, in battle, you never know who is going to go down on the battlefield. Someone who is the most prepared soldier can go down quickly. Someone who looks like they're going to survive will go down. And someone who looks like they have no business being able to survive somehow keeps enduring. That's the madness of mental health. You just never know. So it's painful and it's sad and it breaks my heart that Robert Carradine also took his own life. You know, all right, let's see here. Cartoon says, do you think the Save America bill will pass the Senate? At this point, I don't think it will. Even what's his face is calling it out. The old dude is calling it out, saying he's not going to even bring it to a vote. But you never know. You never know with these kinds of things. But even the Heritage Foundation came out and said, I think out of 2 billion votes that have happened over the last 20 years, there was only 22 instances of illegal undocumented immigrants voting in elections. 22 out of 2 billion. It is not an epidemic. This is all a lie to disenfranchise voters.
But and we don't have time to talk about it, but how about the fact that the DOJ and the FBI left out some 50 odd pages of notes and shit about Trump actively committing crimes is now at this particular point. So like, that the whole point of all of that is to continue to distract away from the fact that we are dealing with a terrible human being.
Yeah. Yeah. Sadly so. Michael Miles, I just heard that the professor at Hunter College is going to blame Tourette's syndrome for her outburst as well. Just saying. I don't think it's not cool to joke about someone's condition, Michael, but I hear where you're coming from.
I can't get behind that. I get what you were going for. I think it's both too soon and too delicate of a subject, and especially from the standpoint of, again, we are watching so much ableism come out of this scenario. I don't know. I get what you're trying to do, but I'm sorry. I didn't find that one funny.
Cowboys fan, you know what's scary is that even though we will do well in the midterms, the Democrats have no backbone yet to fight, no real person able to get elected. Well, it's still early in the cycle. And I think once we get, if we do take the House, and God forbid we take the Senate, I think that's going to be a whole nother ball game. And if this Sinvergüenza in Texas would step down after all those text messages have come out, after that affair that he had, after the woman set herself on fire, if that piece of dog shit would step down, I think this would be a much more tenuous situation in the House. But they are propping him up. Johnson and the rest of them are propping him up just so they can keep their slim majority in the House. That tells you the lack of morals and principles and ethics that this supposedly family values party has, Yeah. WV Grad says, please remember someone will always listen. Call 988. Yes, that is the suicide prevention hotline number you can call for sure. And thank you, WVU. Absolutely. Anybody listening, if you're struggling or anything, keep that on speed dial. I know for me, that's who I called. That day when I wanted to take my own life, I called the suicide prevention hotline. If that woman hadn't spent 45 minutes on the phone with me, leveling me out, I would have taken my life in 2016. So I can't advocate for that enough. Matt says, McCall, any advice on mental health? I struggled on Monday. Good.
My biggest advice would be if you have people in your life that you genuinely trust and that you love and love you, to seek them out as a baseline. I would say also keep in mind, just from the standpoint that everybody's dealing with stuff, you should absolutely be able to turn to them when you're dealing with some stuff. But the idea of the statement of what trauma is not your fault, but healing is your responsibility. I think starting with that friends and family, and especially in that emergency situation, is completely 100% okay. And once they're able to kind of help you, be willing to take that help and then put it towards therapy or anything that needs to happen to try and help get you stable and all of that. Because the one thing I will say from somebody that has been dealing with depression for a long time, it's gonna be a battle that you're gonna be dealing with for the rest of your life. It's just a scenario, because anybody can be depressed at any point or deal with a mental health issue. So you just have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for that moment and do what you can. And just remember that there's nothing weak or wrong about saying that you're not okay. There's nothing wrong with seeking help. There's nothing wrong for even being in that position and in feeling that way. I think that all of that is okay and a part of this life journey. So find your anchor and then seek anything that can help you get to a better place and to be prepared to weather the storm.
That's the hardest truth about mental health, is once it happens to you, which, as I said, 2016, like, it shocked the shit out of me that I was someone who had this issue. I never thought I had this issue. You have to be diligent in taking care of yourself, in making sure your tools are available to you, because you never know when that is going to hit you. And so you've got to do the work. It's really important that you've got to do the work to take care of yourself, which means the things that you need that'll level you out, they've got to be in access. You've got to have access to them at all times. To me, meditation, the meditation app helped me a lot. The meditation podcast is an incredible podcast. I donate $2 a month. I get all these apps as a patron member, and all these meditations, and I get to calm down. I get to level out. That's important. Take a walk, listen to music, watch your favorite show. And as Winston said, find your anchor and find someone you can talk to who is there for you. Trust me, more people now, I think, are aware of this and are more available to their friends than ever, because they know how dangerous this thing has gotten, for sure. So be aware of that. Yeah. Cowboys fans, I'm not gonna lie, I'm dealing with mental health myself. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. I know.
So I'm so sorry to everybody that is. But the fact that you are here today, and even the fact that, like, because they always say what that first step is admitting that you have a problem. The fact that you're able to even acknowledge that is such a powerful win already.
Yeah.
Let that be the win that pushes your sales as like the starting point, is understanding that there's something going on, and admitting that is enough to help you take that next step. Even if it's just calling a friend, even if it is calling the hotline, whatever it is, the fact that you can admit that is so huge.
Yeah. I read a phrase the other day, a few weeks ago rather, and it said, if you're still here, you are undefeated confronting the hard times. And let that motivate you to be able to confront the hard time when they come again, because you're undefeated because you're still here. And I think that's powerful. Paul Hitchcock says, Winston is right. Pick one target and get after it as a group. Be Razzers style. Wait, that ain't right. I don't know what that means. Is that a porn?
I think he's talking about like Brazzers, as in like
Brazzers. Oh,
yeah.
Yikes.
That's funny. That
was funny. Matt Senator McCall says, don't trust anyone, and I always go to be a man mode.
So what you're describing is also why I need to finish my film. It's a short. I think the thing that really needs to be driven home, as far as that mentality, is, again, the hardest thing to do is to both A, admit that there's a problem, and then B, to then take those steps to try and do something about it. So if you want to try and rewire or reframe how you're thinking about that to help you move in that direction to get that help, it is more manly to genuinely admit that there's an issue and try and solve it. And do it in a way that we know has much higher success in actually getting you to the other side than to try and tough things out by yourself. I think the greatest weakness that men have dealt with, and that's because society has fed this to us, is that this idea that whether it be mental health or anything else, that you have to do that shit on your own. That's not how humans are built. We are not built to be solo dolo, period. There's a reason why so many different people are advocates of getting rid of solitary confinement in that case, because it's cruel and unusual punishment, because we are not meant to deal with things alone. We are a social species. So if what you need to do that, like you said, is you're built on being a man is admitting that I need my brothers and my sisters to help me.
100%. That needs to be the new manhood. Creature 1980 says, mis hermanos, salute to two of my favorite YouTubers. I just started the show. I'm a bit behind. Just got off work. I guess Jay's okay too. Yes, he is. All right, two Streamlabs. We get out of here once. I know we're over time a little bit. Thank you, brother, for sticking around. What's happening? Spill has shown my support for the show. Congrats to both the U.S. hockey teams for winning the gold. However, one of those teams showed their immature stupidity and embarrassed themselves, while the other has shown great integrity. Absolutely true.
You got a comment on the screen right now, by the way.
Oh, do I? Sorry.
No, you're good. We didn't really get into the men's hockey team, but I find it hilarious that, like, both if I'm not mistaken, the women, not only did more women actually take gold in this Olympics in the U.S. than men. Did they not do the same thing that you did, and you find that funny to make fun of them, to laugh at them? you know, that supposedly are your sisters in arms in your sport. Like that just that to me sounds pathetic.
Yeah.
That's you can't knock what they actually accomplish as athletes, but you sound pathetic as athletes and as men that was I guess we have to fight the girls. Pathetic.
Yes. It means nothing if you're there, you share a cafeteria, you watch each other in the stands, support each other. It means nothing if in a critical moment when you can respect their accomplishment, you laugh along with a misogynistic a-hole who might allegedly be a pedophile. Like that's the thing that is insane to me. And I get it. You're in a moment, all the guys are around, but some of you could have stood and been like, yeah, no, it's not funny. Like there should have been some. And the fact that almost every one of them went to the White House today, went to the State of the Union today to be used as props, I think is disgusting. And it's not surprising that this is a predominantly white male sport. And looking at how they're supporting this gentleman. And the young kid, this 24-year-old Jack Hughes, who said, like, everything's political, trying to denigrate legitimate anger that people had about the situation. I hope you grow up. I hope you understand what your own mother, Jack Hughes, was a member of the women's hockey team when no one took it legitimately, had to go through to be taken legitimately. The laughing at the disrespect is a horrible thing.
That's the part that gets me. You shouldn't have to have a family member to be able to do that shit. But the fact that it was your own mother, man, y'all just being saw like, all right, dude. I understand the idea that we have come around and realized that, like, you know, spanking your kids and all that is like not good. That's like abuse and all that kind of stuff. But this is where I have that tendency to be like, see, this is why these white kids ain't getting no ass whoopings. Don't understand. Put some respect on your mama name, you stupid son bitch. Your mama should have checked your ass on the ice a couple more times. Then maybe you wouldn't have acted like such an asshole.
It's true. Very true. You're so special. You're very special. No. Fantastic says, I'm with the Spillas. It's easier to be better than it is to whine about being a victim of their own behavior. Much easier. And talking about politics and all that kind of stuff. All right, there you go. That's our last question. We should get on out of here. As I said, we're a little bit over time. Thank you, Winston. Please let people know where they can find you, brother man, what you got going on right now and on your shows.
Absolutely. You can find me at the Swaggy Blurred on all platforms. As soon as I get out of here, I've got to eat something, and then I've got some work to do for my channel, for Blurreds, all that. Blurreds in the Hood, we normally are live at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays. We went live yesterday because I've got a gig tomorrow that I'm going to be gone, and I wasn't sure if we were going to make it in time. Plus, this whole BAFTA thing, we wanted to talk about it then. So go and watch the replay. We had a really interesting discussion yesterday about that as well. Capes and Cows on Friday with myself, Christian, and Chris Carr. So a lot of stuff. And then the last thing I'll just say to that point, you all matter. And I genuinely hope that if anybody is struggling, the hotline, obviously that was brought up, the 988. Obviously in America, you also have the 1-800-273-8255. But again, you know, we talk a lot about superheroes because of the stuff that we were talking about Wolverine as far as a video game and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. The biggest way that you could be a hero, if that's the battle that you're fighting, is taking that step to fight that battle. So call who you need to call, reach out to who you need to reach out to. I want to continue to see you here and know that you matter.
Absolutely. Very well said, Winston. Very well said, for sure. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can subscribe to the channel, which we'd really appreciate. We're really trying to get to that 50,000 subscribers mark. Hit a like on this video, share it on your social media. Let people know that this is all happening on Tuesdays. We're live at 4 p.m. PT. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new live episode here of Spill the Tequila. Peace to all of you. Until then.